You know, we spend about a third of our entire lives sleeping. A third. But for most of us, we treat it like an annoyance, right? Something you just have to get over with. But what if I told you it's not a debt to be paid, but this super active, vital process that, well, we're failing at on a massive scale? So let's dive into why we get sleep so wrong and what this silent epidemic really means for all of us. So first up, let's talk about what's being called a silent epidemic. I'm talking about chronic sleep loss. It's a huge public health issue that affects literally millions of people, but it just flies under the radar. And the scale of this problem, honestly, it is staggering. How staggering? Think about this number. We're talking about 50 to 70 million adults in the US alone who are dealing with a chronic sleep disorder. This isn't just about a few people feeling tired. This is a massive slice of the population fighting a daily battle just to feel rested. And it's not just the adults, not by a long shot. Get this. Up to 80% of teenagers aren't getting the sleep they need. This is a crisis that's hitting the developing brains of the next generation, and it could be setting them up for a lifetime of health problems. And this goes way beyond just feeling a little groggy in the morning. The real-world consequences are huge. We're talking over $94 billion, that's billion with a B, every single year, just in healthcare costs. That is an enormous economic weight on top of the personal one. So all of this begs the question, why is sleep so non-negotiable? What's the big deal? Well, it's because while you're passed out, your brain is like a highly efficient cleaning crew, performing all this critical maintenance that it simply can't get done when you're awake and running around. To really get it, you've got to understand the sleep cycle. The best way to think about it is like a nightly road trip your brain takes. It passes through different stages or neighborhoods, and each one has a very specific and very important job to do for your mind and your body. So your journey starts off in some light non-REM sleep, and then you start cruising into deeper stages. Now you really want to pay attention to stage 3. That's the deepest, most restorative sleep. It's where your body does most of its heavy lifting for physical repairs. And then you cycle into REM sleep. This is where the magic happens for your brain. Memory consolidation, emotional processing, it's also prime time for dreaming. And the payoff from that nightly journey is just incredible. Quality sleep isn't passive at all. It's a super active process. It's building pathways for memory, it's regulating your mood, it's firing up your immune system with these little proteins called cytokines, and it's even releasing hormones for cell repair. It is, without a doubt, a fundamental pillar of your health. Okay, so if sleep is so critical, what in the world is getting in our way? Now we're going to look at the enemies of rest. And they come in all shapes and sizes, from disorders inside our own bodies to all the things in our modern lives that are sabotaging our sleep. On the internal front, you've got some common culprits. First, there's insomnia. That's the one most of us have heard of, just that constant struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep. Then there's sleep apnea, which is actually pretty scary. It's when you have pauses in your breathing. And you can't forget restless leg syndrome, that weird, powerful urge to move your legs when you're trying to relax. And the impact of these things goes really deep, especially when it comes to mental health. You see this quote from Dr. Goldstein Piekarsky at Stanford? It's key. The relationship goes both ways. Bad sleep can tank your mood, and poor mental health can absolutely wreck your sleep. It becomes this awful, vicious cycle. I mean, just look at these numbers. The connection is absolutely startling. If you have insomnia, you're 10 times more likely to struggle with depression. And for anxiety, you're a staggering 17 times more likely. This is not some small connection. It's a massive blinking red warning sign. And the dangers aren't just what's happening inside your head. A sleep-deprived brain behind the wheel of a car is a serious public safety hazard. Study after study has shown that driving while drowsy can mess with your reaction time and judgment just as much as driving drunk. It's that serious. Okay, that was a lot of the bad news. But now let's talk solutions. Because here's the good news. For a lot of us, getting better sleep is totally within our control. So right now, we're going to build a toolkit of strategies you can literally start using tonight. The foundation of this whole toolkit is a concept called sleep hygiene. And no, it has nothing to do with being clean or showering before bed. It's all about having clean sleep habits, a consistent routine that tells your brain and your body, hey, it's time to shut down and rest properly. The 4 pillars of good sleep hygiene are actually pretty simple, but they are so powerful. First, set a fixed wake-up time. Yes, even on the weekends. It anchors your body's internal clock. Second, have a wind-down routine to prepare yourself for rest. Third,
Get some sunlight during the day and be active. It really helps. And finally, your bedroom needs to be a sleep sanctuary, cool, dark, and quiet.
Now, let's get even more specific, because tiny changes here can make a huge difference. You know that afternoon coffee you love? Well, its effects can stick around long after bedtime. And that late-night doom scrolling on your phone, that blue light is actively telling your brain not to produce the sleep hormone melatonin. See? Small changes, big impact. And to make this toolkit really work for you, we have to clear up some really common and really damaging myths about sleep, because believing these can sabotage your best efforts before you even start. First up, the nightcap. So many people think a glass of wine or beer helps them sleep. And yeah, alcohol is a sedative, so it might help you doze off faster, but it's a complete disaster for your sleep quality. It blocks that deep, restorative REM sleep and often causes you to wake up a few hours later. It's just not worth it. And what about catching up on sleep over the weekend? Hate to break it to you, but that's mostly a myth too. Sure, sleeping in might make you feel a little better, but you can't fully repay a week's worth of what's called sleep debt. The negative effects of losing sleep just keep adding up, and 1 or 2 long nights can't completely wipe the slate clean. Now, this one sounds weird, but it's so important. If you can't fall asleep, the worst thing you can do is lie there and try to force it. That just creates anxiety and literally trains your brain to see your bed as a stressful place. The best move? Get up. Go do something calm and low light, like reading a book, and only go back to bed when you actually feel sleepy again. So the big takeaway from all of this is actually pretty simple. Despite how big the problem is and how complex the biology can seem, improving your sleep is absolutely 100% achievable. It's not about finding some magic pill. It's about building a solid foundation of smart, consistent habits. Let's end on this thought, because it's a real mindset shift. We have to stop seeing sleep as a luxury or a debt or a sign of weakness. It is a powerful, active investment in your physical health, your mental clarity, and just your overall happiness. So the only real question left is, what are you going to invest in tonight?